Okay, so we are back on Monday. I hope you had a good weekend. We're going to review for your quiz today. Your quiz is going to be tomorrow. You're going to have all day to complete it. So please do the review first. I'm going to put it out there. I want you to do it and then come back to this video and you can check your answers. And if you got something wrong, hopefully you can correct it then. So we're going to review for your exponential quiz. All right, your question number 1 is going to look something like this. It says, decide if the equation is a growth or decay. Well, we know that we have y equals ab to the x. The one value that we want to look at is the b value. And so here is my a, here is my b, and your exponent is positive, so we don't have to worry about that. So here's our b value. It's 4/9. So 4/9 is less than 1. So what do you think it's going to be? It's going to be a decay. So there's like question number 1. Let's look at question number 2. Decide if it's going to be a growth or decay. This time we have a decimal. We haven't seen a whole lot of decimals, but right now I would say it's a growth, except what are we trying to do over here? We're trying to trick you with a negative. So our equation is actually y equals 0.06 times 1 over 1.02 to the x. So this value right here, instead of a growth, it is now a decay. So this problem would also be a decay, exponential decay. Question number 3. What is the growth rate? And here's where a lot of students make mistakes. They go, ooh, it is 1.02. But that's not true, because remember, our growth rate is what's going above 100%. What's going above 100%. So we have to take 1.02 minus that 100%. So I get 0.02. Now, what do I have to do to make that a percent? Move that decimal over twice. So your answer is going to be, it's a 2% growth rate. Don't forget that. Subtract that 1. Number 4. The initial amount, we all know on y equals ab to the x. My a value is the initial amount. So your answer should be 121 as the initial amount. Okay, so for this problem, we are going to be graphing on your graphing calculator or Desmos. I'm going to pull up my Desmos. So on here, we're going to put y equals 4, and then we're going to type in e, go back to the, and then backspace, oops, backspace there. We're going to put the x, and then we're going to go down and -3. Okay, so here is our graph, and what we're looking for is the domain and the range. Now notice that we are going to have a horizontal asymptote at -3, and can it go anywhere on our x value? Yes, so domain is going to be all real numbers, and our range is going to be -3 to infinity. So domain is going to be all real numbers. Range is going to be -3 to infinity, And can it be -3? Nope, there's a horizontal asymptote there, so it's going to be a parenthesis. So make sure you know that. For number 6, this one says, what is the horizontal asymptote? So we're going to go back to our Desmos. And we're going to get rid of that. And we have 0.5 parenthesis 2 to the x, and then +4. Okay, so on this one, we're looking for our asymptote. And where does it look like our horizontal asymptote is going to be? It's going to be at 1, 2, 3, 4. So y equals 4 is our horizontal asymptote. All right, here we get to the word problems. On this one, it says Lacey bought a car for $25,000. If the car depreciates, so we need to figure out, what does depreciate mean? Well, depreciate means goes down. 7% per year. What will a car be worth in X years? And we're going to write the model for this. So we have to look at the formula, y equals a times 1. Since it said depreciate, we're going to put a subtract r to the t. Now, all we have to do is put in our values. So y equals, what was our initial price of the car? The initial price of the car was $25,000. 1 minus, because it's depreciate, and 7% written as a decimal is 0.07. And do I know the number of years? Nope, they said to put an X there. So now all we have to do is put that together. Y equals 25,000 times the quantity, 0.93 to the X. And that is our model. We're done right there. When it says write a model, it wants the equation. Number 8. If you invest $500 that earns a 5% annual interest rate compounded continuously, that is big. You should know compound continuously is automatically a PERT. How much will the account will be in the account in 20 years? So we have to pick everything out of our problem. So this 500 is our initial investment. Our rate is 5%, and 5% as a decimal is 0.05. And then the only other thing we need to know is, what is our time? So now we have everything to put in. So A equals 500 E to my rate 0.05 times 20. Put this whole thing in your calculator at once. You know your E button is on the left-hand side of your calculator. It's going to be second, and that LN that's on your graphing calculator. And so on this problem, you should get $1,359.14. Don't forget, 2 decimal places when it comes to money. Always, always, always. Number 9. This one's a little bit harder, and you need to read this one. A Babe Ruth baseball card is now worth $200. It has increased in value 16% per year. What would it have cost 20 years ago? Okay, so it's an increase in value. So we have A equals P times 1 plus R to the T. Plus, because it has increased in value. Now we have to pick out everything we need for this. Since it is now worth $200, that's going to be my A value. Increased is where we get our plus. 16%. So 16%, move your decimal place. That is 0.16 for my rate. And then we have 20 years for the T. So let's put everything in. 200 equals, I do not know what it cost 20 years ago, times 1 plus 0.16 to the 20th. Okay, so 200 equals P times 1.16 to the 20th. All right, we do not want to find that amount because we're going to have to do some rounding. We only want to round at the end of the problem. If we round continuously through the problem, we are farther off from the correct answer at the end. So if I want P by itself, I'm going to divide this side by 1.16 to the 20th. If I do it on the right, I must also do it on the left. Now, those will cancel, and P will turn out to be, put this in as a fraction, 200 over 1.16 to the 20th power, and you get $10.28. So 20 years ago, you could buy a Babe Ruth baseball card for $10.28. Again, 2 decimal places, we're talking about money. And our last review problem. You invest $600 into an account that compounds quarterly. So for that problem, it's going to be A equals P times 1 plus, since it's quarterly, it's going to be R over N to the NT. The annual interest is 7.5%. How much will be in your account in 18 years? Let's pick all of your information off of it. You invested $600. That's going to be my P. Quarterly. Quarterly. What does quarterly stand for? 4. 4 quarters and $1. Interest rate, 7.5%. Move it 2 decimal places, and we get 0.075 for the rate, the R. And then our time is 18 years. So put this into your calculator. A equals 600 times 1 plus 0.075 divided by 4 to the 4 times 18. Put that whole amount, this whole thing in your calculator at once. Don't do bits and parts of it. Put it all in at one time. And you will have $2,285.70 in your account in 18 years. Okay, again, 2 decimal places. So make sure you review. Tomorrow is going to be your quiz. You got this. See you later.